Know they be mad that I be on the scene. Ass too fat, can't fit in no jeans. Was that Ice Spice or Charles Dickens?
Welcome to the Art Not Algorithm podcast. This is episode 1. Today we're talking about, does my music have to go viral in order to be a legitimate musician? We're here with
the P-E-R-T, the P-E-R-T-Y, Pert the Square, Pertinence. Also to my left, joined by my co-host.
Hello, my name is McClain. I started Live Too. And that's about it.
I'm excited. I think the main thing we want to clarify for the contingency of this entire podcast is that McClain and I have no idea what we're doing. However, we do believe that we offer an
inside scoop onto what we feel like we have learned from our personal experiences in the music industry
that
so
a lot
far.
Of people may not have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we are very independently minded. We do not enjoy the idea of the current label system and where it stands in their business model. So we're trying to do it differently, which everybody says, but very few people put into practice. So it's a very nuanced, small little thing that we got going there.
They're screwing you. We're here to help you get less violated. So just listen to us and you should probably, you'll be fine. You'll work it out. Things will be good.
Right. That's right.
And I wore my glasses. So, when people wear glasses, they tend to be smarter. You should probably trust me.
Nice. All right, let's get into it then. So our first question comes from Camilio, who's an artist friend of ours. He's signed to Republic, I think. He's a decently sized up and coming artist himself, actually.
He's very handsome.
He's a very handsome lad.
He's a good looking young guy. He just got a haircut, so go tell him you like it.
And he asks, is the goal of all content to go viral? Is it okay to post something that you know will flop but you love? Is this gonna be a problem? give it 10 seconds. Okay, word.
McClain insisted on filming in Pearl Harbor. I said we should not do that. We said not shoot here. He said it's fine, dude. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
So Camilio asked, is the goal of all content to go viral? Is it okay to post something that you know will flop but you love anyways? What's your take on this as of right now, Pert?
I think it's constantly evolving. When I first started, I would have obviously preferred that everything went viral all the time. Mm-hmm. And now I think being in a space where we understand what makes things go viral a little bit better, I think it's very important that you actually don't go viral all the time. I think it's super, super critical that you kind of bridge your content in between stuff that's geared to hit the stratosphere, and that can be your content that's meant to engage new audiences, but it's also very important that you're showing who you are as a person, so that way you can build that foundation that you can then stand atop of the people who are going to buy the merch, the people who are showing up to the shows and XYZ. And it's really important that they know who you are, your likes and dislikes, and a lot of the times those things aren't geared to go viral, but more just to add the depth, I think, to your core fan base.
I definitely agree. I think if you're saying you know that you love it, but you think it will flop, then still start with something that you know you will love. Don't do something just because you think it will do well. And if you don't love it, especially, don't do that. Honestly, when I start working with artists at the very beginning, I try and figure out, what's super unique about them and the way that they see the world that we can kind of build out of piece by piece.
Absolutely.
So somebody like Parker, PM Beta, who's a bit more, he loves building things with his own hands and stuff. I think that there's angles that you could take around something like that and build out of it.
Of course.
So do what you love first, and then find ways to make what you love do well over the course of time. But don't put that pressure on yourself at first. It has to go viral. I need stuff to do well now. Because if stuff goes viral that you don't love, then all of a sudden the rest of your life is built around something you don't love in the first place.
Sure. And to piggyback on top of that, I think other words for maybe things that you love or whatever, I think just to put it in a whole synopsis, it's very important that you find your thing and you find something that not only that you love for sure, but how do you make that unique and how do you make that original? And that's not to say that trends and, these upcoming sound alerts and shit like that, that they're not helpful and that they can't help you reach a new demographic. But the thing is, not every single view is worth the same per unit. And so you could have a video that's very, integral to who you are as an artist and the things that you want. And that video does 100,000 views or whatever. But then you could have something that was just on an upcoming sound, yada, 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 that does 10 million. But the thing that did 100K is going to get you 20,000 followers, and the one that did 1 million, you might see 1,000 maybe, because it's just something that people have seen. So you really need to, especially in the era of how fast people consume media nowadays, you have to do something that's setting yourself apart.
Yeah.
It's got to be unique to you.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. We often talk about, in kind of the way that we run our strategies, instead of seeing all of the content you're pushing out as just a piece-by-piece thing, like what do I make next, what do I make next, we kind of create columns of, okay, this column of content is specifically geared to, when it does well, achieve these things. And this one is to achieve these other things. So it could be this specific strategy for these specific kinds of videos are to get people to enjoy your personality.
Right.
Or, so like if one of those videos goes viral, we already know if one of those gets 1 million views, it's not going to make more people listen to your music, but people can fall in love with like who you are more.
Right.
And just kind of attacking like this world that we're building from multiple different angles and windows inside of that.
Yeah.
I definitely think, I was talking to Dylan and some of our other filmmakers the other day. Dylan's behind the camera nodding right now.
No,
Nice little
he's
shout
not.
out.
He's fucking lying. Dylan's not even here. It's crazy.
Yeah. We were talking about how I like to look at it like every video is going to get 1 million views. So what are people going to do when it does? Like, where do they go? And kind of putting on a whiteboard, breaking down, okay, this video that I have in my head, if it hits, where do I think as a consumer my attention would go, and what would I care about coming out the other side of this thing?
Sure. I think people often like forget too that, and kind of like what you're saying is like, where do we come out on the other side? But a lot of people, and this has been a really prevalent topic for us the past couple of days, but this idea that like once you blow up, it's over, you know what I mean? And that like, oh boy, like if I just get one blow up, then everything will be good. And so I say that to say, I think it's super important that you find your thing, and to understand that when you do the first thing or the second time that you tried, or even the third, like just because it doesn't outperform everything you've done before doesn't necessarily mean it's a dud, that you can move and pivot and stuff. But it's going to be so much more rewarding if you do that thing in the end, because if it's true to yourself, it'll be so much more easy to repeat for years on end, as opposed to just searching for the thing that's hot. Like that just gets tiring so fast. And as an artist, like, dude, it just corrupts like you're even like want to do this shit anymore. It'll kill it so fast. And the rat race is like, it's not a real thing. Like you choose to operate in it, you can choose to run it. And I think that's a really shitty facade that the industry kind of puts up, is like, oh, you have to do this. Like you want to go viral, you have to do this. And it's like, nah, man, like you can really create your own lane. People will follow. People want something unique. People want something new that in turn represents them too, that they haven't felt before, you know? Yeah.
I think one really unfortunate kind of result of the fact that numbers are so public now, and anybody can see directly, like monthly listeners, number of views per video that you're putting out, like those kinds of things. Everybody values, like you were saying, not every view is worth the same amount, but TikTok doesn't tell you like, okay, this person's view is worth this much. Like, so everybody just equates in their mind, like, just because it's easy, they're like, oh, this person got 1 million views, they must be important. So then everybody starts thinking like, I need 1 million views. When the real way to start thinking about it is like, there are pockets of people out there that might care extremely deeply about something. So it's not all just about horizontal growth of like, I need more and more and more people to care about it. What about the 5,000 people that like already love it, and you could like get them to kind of like the depth of it? That is not what's shown. So some of the most impactful videos that I think that we've put out on our channel and stuff that people still come up to me for are the ones that have 12,000 views, but like those 12,000 people were the people that needed to like see that specific thing.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, that's.
Dude, we fucking pregoed that. That was boss. That was so crazy.
You want to read this one?
I can't read, so.
Oh, okay. I forgot about that. Yeah, that's right. That's why I'm here. All right, from Cult Classic, who's another filmmaker. He's a great guy. He's building his own production company, making music videos for a lot of other upcoming art. He does like Frank Sativa's stuff and those
Beautiful
guys.
Young individual.
He says how to balance cringe/clickbait with authenticity and integrity. So kind of in like the same realm of what we were just talking about, but from a different angle, perhaps.
I think cringe like is entirely subjective. This idea of like cringe, and so I think you could even go as far to say that cringe is like a direct opposite to like something that has artistic integrity. You know what I mean? And because the idea of what's cringe is so subjective, to go about things worrying about, oh, how is this going to be perceived here? I swear to God, you could be fucking Usher on roller skates and somebody's going to think it's cringe. Like, you could be the smoothest guy on the entire planet and somebody's going to dick on you, dude. Like, it's just the way it is. And so I think the only, like, surefire way to prevent that is by moving completely out of a place where you know that, this is my integrity. This is who I am fully and completely. And whatever the fucking people think, fuck them, It's I don't know, bro. I don't know.
I agree with that. I think moving from an inward place outwards instead of like trying to look
There
outward
it
for
is.
what
Yeah,
should
that
I
was
be doing.
that
On
was
the
the
inside.
Webster way to
There
say
it
it.
is.
That was good. Bing.
All right, well, we moved through that one quick. All right. So from at totally not that one guy. How
It is that one guy. I fucking knew it was, though. He said it wasn't, but the whole time I was thinking it's that fucking one guy, bro.
Oh my god. Okay, how do you separate your musician persona from your real life persona?
Ooh.
Is there a separation of that for you? This is something only I feel like you have insight to, and I don't really.
Well, I like to talk, so it's your lucky day.
It is my lucky day.
That's
That's why I have you here.
I would say that I'd say the answer is to not keep the two very far from each other. I remember when I first started like doing podcasts and little interviews and shit. I talked to this guy.
Light flex.
Yeah, baby. I talked to this guy who had like quote unquote skin in the game, and he's like, man, I swear to God. He goes, you need a cosign, you need some glasses, and listen when I tell you to not be too real in a fake game. And I took it as like an absolute truth because this guy had like skin in the game. So I was just like, damn, I need sunglasses, I need this and this. And it started just creating this like inner turmoil in me to where it was like, even the songs that I started writing, it was just like, damn, this isn't like, these are cool sounds or whatever, but this isn't a reflection of who I am. And then that kind of in turn, I think, creates some form of like imposter syndrome or whatever you want to call it. However, on the flip side of that, there is something to be said about walking the line between like a human and a god. And I don't say like a god in an egotistical sense, but in the sense that in order for people to want to follow something, to be a part of something, they have to feel like that thing is larger than themselves, like they're a part of a movement, like they're a part of something that they themselves could not physically do. You know what I mean? Something to look up to, I guess. And so it's really important to find the kind of balance in between the two where you are playing maybe yourself like played up just a little bit, you know what I mean? But in a sustainable form, something that doesn't deviate from your ethics or like from your morals and shit like that. So that way, like, it's all about, I think, maintaining like your battery as long as possible. And when you start doing all this extra shit, inevitably your battery's gonna run out a little bit faster. So whatever you can do to like stay in the ease of who you are and maintain that integrity while still like, it's okay to showboat a little bit. It's okay to throw on your favorite little polo and give them a wink sometimes, do your hair up a little extra nice. But yeah.
I got two questions coming out of that for you then. So first one, at what point in your career as an artist did that stuff happen where you started wearing fake sunglasses or like whatever and like cheese and stuff?
They were real sunglasses. They were real, I swear.
Okay, wait. Other insight. You used to wear fake glasses to school, and then they didn't let you anymore.
We don't need to get into it.
And now the reason he has to wear glasses is because he
Listen,
watched
if
his
you're
eye
in third
exam
grade right
to
now,
get real
hold on.
glasses, bro.
If you're in third fucking grade right now, you shouldn't be listening to this. But if you're in third grade right now and you're thinking glasses are cool, I promise you they're fucking sick. Go lie on your eye exam. Get some fake glasses. You could be just like me. The P-E-R-T, the P-E-R-T-Y, Pert the square, Pertinence. Your eyes will get fucked, but you'll look sick.
Literally
You'll look so sick.
ruins his eyes just to look cool. So this runs deep.
Well, that's exactly what I did. And I would say that you should do it too.
Okay,
wait, hold
back to, so I asked you at what point in
Yeah.
your music career did you do that? Was it like super early?
I had to be like 6 or 7.
What?
Yeah, probably like, super
No.
early. I'm fucking with
Wait,
you. I'm saying definitely like relatively early. I think before I was able to like completely understand who I was and like what I wanted from music. And maybe that's part of the reason why it influenced me so greatly when he told me, because I was like reaching for some, do this. Like, that's what I'm missing. You know what I mean? I can grab onto that and then I'll have it. And I don't know. It was not the ragu, man. It wasn't the sauce.
Did you release that music from that time? Is it still up?
Yeah,
you think?
absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
I would say I was somewhere maybe around like the 30, 35 song mark. And if we're at like the 70 song mark or something like that now,
Yeah.
so maybe like 2 years ago or so. But yeah, and I wouldn't go as far to say like it was a setback, but definitely an avoidable piece of the journey to not give in to, I don't even want to say like materialistic stuff, but to seek validation in like an image. You know what I mean? Like the image should just be a direct reflection of you.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting thing that you bring up kind of accidentally here that I think that this podcast can be super useful for, because I think a huge part of going through this stuff that we have is like learning as we go, and you kind of have to like I've gotten advice from people older and wiser and who have gone through stuff, and like they were like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this XYZ because it will lead to this.
Munch.
And yet I'm still like, all right, I get it, but I'm going to fall on that sword anyways, because they might be right 95% of the time, but like what about the 5% where they're wrong? And, like you have to learn it.
Right.
But I do think that there are some like avoidable pitfalls and things that we can help like shape to where there are avoidable traps like you're talking about that people often find themselves in.
I think a lot of the times too, like that, and especially for you and me, we're so fucking goddamn stubborn that it's like we have to just see it ourselves. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, maybe that didn't work for you, but like, yeah, you're not me. Like, and a lot of the times I think that advice, especially for us, comes from people within an industry that we already don't trust. And so like maybe just coming from two dudes who are like so stubbornly on the outside of the industry, like then again like trying to give gems down, like take it from fucking us that you don't need to see it yourself. Like I promise you that this is the easiest way.
Yeah.
Or at least that I found. I don't know. Don't blame me if it ruins your whole life, but shit. This is a wooden spatula. Let's address it. This is in fact a wooden spatula. All right, that's addressed. Have a good night. Thanks for coming.
All right, yeah, let's do this bit.
All right. So this is the very first game show of the Art Not Algorithms podcast.
Yeah, Pert has no idea what's happening right now. He's aware that there was a bit, but has no idea what this is. I kind of know.
Starting to put some things together.
You have no idea.
I have a mega mind, so I wouldn't underestimate me.
This is the game called Ice Spice or Charles Dickens.
I did not know it's Charles Dickens.
The way we play this game is that I will read you guys a couple of quotes from either Ice Spice or Charles Dickens, and you will have to decide who said what.
That's awesome. That's so cool. You thought of that?
Yeah.
That's fucking great, dude.
Wait, so how many are there?
There's 7 questions. And let me just say this. The loser, the person who gets the most wrong, will have to do the last minute of this podcast in an ice bath.
No fucking way. That's the shit I started putting together. It's so fucking cold, dude. My nipples are so hard as it is. You see this shirt? It's so breathable, bro. I'm catching every stray wind right now. Mother Nature is my opposition. Now I have to get... All right.
So, Ice Spice or Charles Dickens?
Okay.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Charles Dickens.
Charles Dickens, for sure.
Literature.
Wait, don't we both vote? And
You
then,
both
like-
vote, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we did that, right?
Yeah.
Thought I
All right,
was
so it's
feeling you.
1-1. We both have 1 point.
Well, yeah, okay. That was correct. That was Charles Dickens
Sorry.
In what?
in A Tale of Two Cities.
Ah, okay, great book.
All right, next one. Know they be mad that I be on the scene. Ass too fat, can't fit in no jeans. Was that Ice Spice or Charles Dickens?
Wait, can I add, if we get all 7 of them right, then Dylan has to do the ice bath?
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Wow,
Okay,
and he
I'll do
sits
that.
right here. He sits right in the middle of us, and you can't talk. You can't make a single sound. Like silent library. You just have to sit there. All right, I'm thinking the munch.
Think about this.
I'm thinking.
Really think. Because Charles Dickens was ahead of his time.
Yeah, spicy
He was.
ice.
He was
Spicy
talking about
ice.
that- those-
I pick human. I pick tahine.
Ice Spice.
That is correct.
Nice.
That was
nervous
Ice
on that
Spice in her mega viral hit, Munch. All right, next question.
There's a bottle of water in here.
To drink.
Cool.
I
stole her heart away and put ice in its place. Was that Ice Spice or Charles Dickens?
I stole a heart away. I stole a heart away. Put ice in his place.
Yeah, Pert, sing it like Ice Spice would have.
That's what I just did,
Do
McClain.
it again, like a little bit louder.
I stole a heart away. I have ice in a place. I stole a heart away. Astra, yeah, Astra Haraway. Yeah, like Astra Haraway. I forgot I said place. That boy's a cop.
I'm going Mr. Moby Dick,
Really?
Charles Dickens.
Yeah, I think so too.
For the,
Hey, we
for
should
the-
just sign a round robin and just do every answer the same every episode. I'm thinking Dickens too.
Final answers, Charles Dickens.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was Charles
Oh,
Dickens.
Damn,
my
all right. That was a little bit
God.
tougher, especially after this great performance of it.
Dylan's starting to shake, bro. I could see him quaking.
Yo, was that 3 for 3?
I'm
right
cool.
now?
I'm cool.
Did it get progressively harder?
That was Charles Dickens in Great Expectations.
Nice.
I read that one. Yep, high school.
Did you really?
I did.
I can't fucking read.
All right, next question. Next quote. Was this Ice Spice or Charles Dickens?
Okay.
It's love that makes the world go round, my baby.
This is a tough one.
Charles Montgomery Dickens.
I think I'm gonna the use of the word "my baby," especially the way you said it, was very leading to
Yeah.
sound like a new aged way of saying it. But I'm still gonna go Charles Dickens. Yeah.
Final answer.
Final answer for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That was Charles Dickens.
Oh, that was the toughest one yet.
no.
That was the toughest one yet.
Oh
Yeah, Dylan's starting to shake a little bit. I can see it.
Someone will fall before me.
4 for 4.
Was this was this Ice Spice or Charles Dickens? Something I can't live without is music.
Oh God.
Damn. Something I can't live without is music.
I'm
Yeah.
thinking Dylan's pretty smart.
Right.
He would do this so that obviously Ice Spice is music.
Right.
He would do this so he'd say Ice Spice, right? Counter thought to that,
Uh-huh.
he's pretty smart.
Right, I know.
So
Like,
he
how
would
smart,
think
though? Is he, like,
he would
doubling?
think that we thought that he would put the answer as Spice, so we say Spice and it's Dickens.
Because it could be.
Or
here's the two
I
things.
fucked
It
that
could-
up, but
It's either
Munch.
It's either Dickens. It's either Dickens in a book, or it's Ice Spice in an interview where she's just being super like brief with these questions. Like something that somebody asked her like, "What can you not live without?" She's like, "Something I can't live without is music." Like on some fucking like talk show or something.
This
Yeah,
could
that's
determine
such a
you being in
generic-
an ice bath.
question. This is the last one.
No.
Ow.
This is number 5 out of 7.
Yes.
Okay. Reluctantly, I'm gonna go Charles Dickens in a book.
Fuck, dude, fuck. I want to go to other dude. I don't even know this shit on 5 shit. Cause I can say Ice Spice. And that would give me the opportunity to get a leg up because I feel like Dylan's smart enough to think that we would think, you know, so he would just make the answer obvious because he knew we would do this shit.
Right.
All right, final answer.
I'm gonna
Pert.
go Dickens. I'm gonna go Dickens too. I'm sorry, I'm a little
Okay,
bitch.
so we're teaming up on Dylan here. If we're right, then we're right. If not, then we're both in the
All right,
shit.
you guys ready?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That was Ice Spice.
No way, bro. No way. Wow. That
Damn
was like-
it, dude. Fuck. See, I knew it. He's smart, bro. He's smart, bro. He's fucking so smart.
That was Ice
Damn
Spice
it.
in a Vanity Fair interview.
Fuck.
So now, okay, so Dylan's safe now.
Fuck, dude. Fuck. I totally knew it. You're smart, but you're a little bitch.
Fuck. That was like triple reverse
Yeah,
psychology.
I knew, see,
right
I
there,
knew
bro.
it, dude. I knew it. I fucking knew it. I should have done fucking. Oh, see,
Yeah,
I'm
bro.
smart. I got just my gut.
2 more questions. This could separate one of you being in an ice bath at the end of this episode.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah.
He's so dun-dun-dun.
These have gotten progressively harder each time. This is great.
Ice Spice or Charles Dickens? Stay true to yourself. Be you.
Fuck, man.
Stay true to yourself, be you. Charles Dickens, my guy, the philosopher, the author.
All right, see, I'm doing
The
it
lover.
again. I'm doing it again. I'm getting into it again, bro. I'm thinking he would make 2 back-to-back Ice Spice unless he thought that I would think that. See, and then I'm gonna go Ice Spice and give me Charles Dickens and get fucked. That's whack, dude. Fuck that. I'll say Charles Dickens because you're coming with me, bitch. If I'm going, you're coming with me. And we gotta do the prom pose in the ice bucket.
You don't want to have a victor?
I I should have said Ice Spice last time, but I know it's not this
Now you're
time.
afraid that this one's.
I
like, are
know
you like-
it's not this time unless you would, because
Yeah, I
but
mean, this could be. What was the quote again?
Stay true to yourself. Be you.
that comes from a wise place.
Yeah, it does
Yeah,
come
I
from
mean,
a wise place.
I'm
How
feeling-
wise do we think that Ice Spice really is? Do you know her personally? I don't. I don't know her. Never met her.
I would like to.
Okay, Charles Dickens.
Charles
What is
Dickens,
it?
I'm sorry.
That was Ice Spice.
No way.
No way, bro.
In the same
She's
Vanity
so
Fair.
wise.
In the same Vanity Fair interview. All right, this is the last
Fuck,
question.
dude,
This
fuck.
is the last question. This
Okay.
could separate one of you being in an ice bath.
An Ice Spice.
An Ice Spice bath. Ice Spice or Charles Dickens? Cows are my passion.
The fuck? Cows?
Cows?
I'm gonna say Dickens. I'm going Dickens, so you
I
have to
was gonna
copy
go
me.
Dickens.
Yeah, let's
I'm
get in
going
together,
Dickens.
boy. Yeah, big fella.
Final answer?
Yeah.
Wait, let me.
I'll
consider
fucking
this.
throw this
One
spatula,
of,
If
you,
I
dude.
go
one of
Ice
you could
Spice.
totally screw the other
Right.
one right now.
You wouldn't go 3 Spice. I know for a fact you wouldn't go 3 Spice. That would just
Yeah,
be
no, he
crazy.
wouldn't go 3 Spice.
would
Not
not
with
go
the
3 Spice.
cows. Like, why would she be talking? Why would she say cows are my passion?
Cause they're done. They were looking at her done. She had to change the subject.
Okay, I would rather do it together. So we're going Dickens.
I'll fucking beat your ass with this wooden spatula if you say Ice Spice right now.
Yeah, I'm going Dickens. Final answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dickens?
Yeah, Dickens.
All right. Very honorable of you two.
Thank you.
That was Charles Dickens.
Nice. Okay.
A
Fuck, dude.
notorious cow lover.
Notorious cow lover. Interesting.
Yes.
What a nice.
All right, next time I need to go with my gut, dude. I need that fucking sucks, dude. I could have put you 10 below.
Yeah.
That sucks, man.
So that means both of you will be getting in an ice bath at the end of this episode. All right.
Fair enough.
Back to the show.
I'm
Back
half
to the
breathing
show.
during that.
Ow. Fuck, I just hit my elbow. I'm sorry, Dylan. No.
I like it.
That
So
was
this.
instant karma. I just came out here to this shit, dude. I was just munching my oatmeal. I don't have a say in these things, bro. It's just set
Can we
up
talk
over
about
there.
that for a second? Where's the oatmeal pot?
No, I don't even. It's gone.
Bro, that
I'm not even
looked
sure it happened
disgusting.
anymore,
It was
no.
brown, and he was eating it straight out of a pot.
I feel like I don't have the artillery here to defend myself currently. Did you guys know McClain's allergic to peanut butter? That's probably stupid, right?
You just told everybody.
Yeah!
Dude, the lady started sending peanut butter in the mailbox, man.
Sending peanut butter? No, please don't kill my precious baby.
Okay, into the next question. Returning to something, Camilio had some great questions. I must shout out Camilio. This is a great one. He says, "Why is Collin the worst first name for a rapper?"
I don't know. I'm gonna tell you.
Just act like that's not you at all.
What are you talking about right now, bro? What are we talking about here, bro?
You can take that one away.
What's happening here today, bro? It's crazy.
All right, fine. Then moving on. Somebody named at Payne Jet Ski.
Camilio asked that? Yo, what?
Yeah, it made my day.
My shit is original, bro. My shit is original, bro. There's only like probably 7 or 8 Collins on the planet. Me, Farrell, and whoever else want to get in there.
Moving on, I just had to throw that one in there.
Damn it.
At Payne Jet Ski asks, as someone who posts very little regularly, what's the best way to connect with my audience? I'll take this one. Obviously, there's all of this talk all throughout the music industry right now of like you have to be posting, you have to be doing social media, you got to be doing all this stuff. But there are niches and pockets of kind of pushback to that, and from a very cultural, crunchy standpoint, there are people making very significant moves because they're purposefully pushing back on that. Especially, like the example we always bring up is AG Club and what they've done. They have under 10,000 followers on TikTok and really couldn't care less about it. And yet they have 1,000 people come to every show.
Yeah.
But as to what you were saying earlier, everybody has to have their thing in a way. So while their thing might not be waking up every morning and thinking about what they're going to post, their thing is how do we add to this culture? How do we bring people to this show and like give them an unforgettable experience? It's almost like instead of trying to create a viral video, you're creating a viral concept for something in person and an experience. So it's still the same kind of creative energy going into something, and you have to have that creative energy. But it doesn't, if you hate social media and don't want to play that game, then don't do it. Play a different game. That's my thoughts on that.
That shirt really brings out your eyes. I just thought I'd say that. Just the green sleeve really just brings out your eyes.
After how much I've
See how
been
he
dissing
broke
you,
eye
I'm
contact with me
surprised.
immediately?
I got nervous. I got butterflies, bro.
No, dude, I think you hit that right on the head for sure. The only thing I'd have to add to that is like, if you don't want to play the viral game, I think that's completely legitimate and that's cool. And if you don't want to play like the social media stuff, awesome. That's completely fine. On the flip end, I think if you do have the notion that if you do that, it instantly makes you corny, you got to get out of your head, bro. And it's so much about how you attack the content, right? And so if you are doing, again, just goes back to what we were saying earlier, if you are maintaining that integrity and you are doing something that you feel like really represents you, like, you're just gonna fucking like stand and hold your dick. Oh, that's not good. You can't say that. But like, you're just gonna like sit around basically contingent on like what other people think of you, and it's like how, you're gonna live your whole life like that. Like you're gonna live the entire thing. And that's just boo boo no good. And I'd say on the flip, the last flip, you thought there was only 2 flips, but there's 3 or 4. If you flip that shit again, I would say it's very important to just not kid yourself. I think so many people kid themselves, and it's like, you know, like, oh, like the TikTok shit isn't for me. Like, I'm not doing the TikTok. That's corny. Like, I'm going to do this shit in real life. That's cool, but, like, actually do the shit in real life.
Yeah.
That, like, just stop. So many people just make so many fucking excuses. And because, like, we live in a society where you can get away with kind of, like, just pawning off that, like, TikTok's corny or whatever, that's, like, a legitimate excuse in a conversation with somebody. Where, like, if you're talking to 2 people, it's just like, oh, I'm not doing it because it's, you know, it's...
No.
You know, it's not where I want my image to be. It's like, bro, you don't even have a fucking image. Like,
Right.
what image are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna go and then just sit on the, like, go back home, not make any music, not do this and this. You get what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I think it's very important that if you're not doing that, you actually have to do something. Like,
Yeah. Another thing that we talk about a lot here, because there is a lot of that, people making the excuse, kind of like you're saying, of like, oh, TikTok's not for me, it's so corny. But at the end of the day, it's just a fucking vertical video that's being posted. Like,
right. That's what I'm saying.
it doesn't matter if that's going on your Instagram story, your Instagram, on TikTok, wherever. And so what we do, instead of, we don't follow trends at all. Like, that I think can come across as very corny, and you could be seen as like, just like we're saying, like reaching for this thing and bring stuff from the outward, like, oh, this is going to get me to a certain level, and people can see right through that. But if you start from the core and treat these videos as like extensions of the art itself, and like, how do I further this art and really like enjoy the process of creating something, because it's a different angle at, like, because if you're making music for the right reasons, you're making it because you have something to share with the world, you think. And so if you want to share it with the world, find a cool way that you really love doing that adds to the art to share it to the world in the videos. And then who cares where you post it? Right now, the best place to put that is TikTok, because most people are going to see it. So if you think about it that way, instead of like, oh, TikTok is corny because all people do is dance and like try and get views, then like you're already thinking about it wrong.
Yeah, and maybe like a little bit much of a tangent, but I think it's also important that you remember how you initially felt when you first made something before like the world tells you how to feel about it. And if before, like, you subjected it to your friends or you subjected it to the court of public opinion, you thought that shit was tight, then it's tight, bro. Then it's fucking cool. Like, or like when you show somebody something, they don't get as excited as you thought like they would. Like, I think that applies with music, sure. Like maybe like what I'm more forwardly talking about, but on the flip end, like video and stuff too, like that. Like if you have something that you know is good and that you know represents you, like you really have to get out of your head about what other people think. Like,
Yeah. A lot of what we've picked up on over the last 6 months, a year or so is and we say it all the time. Pert and I live in the same room right now. I just want to throw that out there.
by choice.
But
By the
not out of
100%
necessity
choice.
at all.
Yeah. We're doing. Never mind.
And so we got some late night conversations always happening, and a lot of them come back to this concept of just, I don't know how to say it in a non-cliche way, but when we talk about it, it usually isn't, but doubling down and believing in yourself, because there's always so much external pressure, especially as stuff starts kind of working in a way too. There's all of this noise of people telling you that you can't get further without their help too. And it's very easy to start listening to them because you might have $20 in your bank account. You might have to like take care of your mom. You might have to do these things. And so it's very
We're
easy
speaking
to, like,
from experience, people.
you have there's a lot of things that can like because you got like this core of like belief in yourself, and that's the reason you've gotten that far. And I've seen so many of our friends, obviously I'm not gonna name any like specific names or anything, and like everybody struggles with this. Even we like at times have to like remind each other of how important it is to like why we do it and like staying true to that and everything. But I have seen a lot of people let those kind of external voices get in their head. They take some kind of like deal that they didn't think all the way through, and then their next several years are spoken for, and they don't get to control what they're doing now. This is obviously now a different topic.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll cover in a much more deep way in a different video, but that's definitely I don't know how we tangentially got to this, but
Yeah, I was
it's
gonna
an
say,
important one.
we should very important.
We'll
We
bring
should
it
nip
back.
it there because I was about to say something else too. We could just go on forever, but yeah, I think
we will return to this for
answered that
sure.
today.
So this one I wrote out because I think a big reason why we want to make this is we know we don't know all the answers, and that's like a huge reason that this needs to exist in the first place, because the reason that we don't have access to a lot of the answers is because we're not willing to give up like that sense of ownership over what we're starting and like this movement and everything that's just beginning. And so we feel as though we are on the outside, and there is like this chokehold on information and how stuff moves inside of this big system that is the entertainment industry, which has all these gatekeepers and everybody like holding it back. So we're basically clawing our way through trying to learn it all while maintaining to ourselves like this ownership in what we're doing. So we talk about like leaving this breadcrumb trail behind as we are learning everything that we are. So everything that we're talking about is just from our personal, like, it is subjective opinions most of the time. None of this stuff has super objective truths. It's all ever changing and whatnot. But that being said, I think something that is interesting is I've now had the experience of running a lot of successful campaigns and like seeing the numbers behind when stuff does start taking off, where does it go, and like what does that look like. So I kind of wrote down like what are the most successful campaigns we've seen and how/why did they work, and I just kind of wanted to like quickly run through that. I don't know how coherently this is gonna come out, but because I have not prepared this whatsoever.
Interesting.
But between I've been there in the early days before they had 1,000 monthly listeners with M. Byhold, Tai Verdes, 347 Aiden. You had like 30,000 monthly listeners when we started talking, and so especially those first three, like we're still very much so in the trenches, kind of like building up what we're doing with you in a much more like deep way than those other things, because those other people were more early days take talk of. I was just trying to figure it out. They were just trying to figure it out, and stuff started to hit. But each of them, it's interesting. So, Ty specifically, his song "Stuck in the Middle" was the one that started doing well in the first place, and it had like a little bit of momentum in the beginning of 2020. And he started posting he basically built an entire storyline. He was kind of the first person to really build himself to be a character in an overarching storyline that lasted 50 episodes around one song, which is kind of now played out in a lot of ways, and like people get much more tired of people obviously doing that. But he kind of rode that wave, and something that's for each of them, it kind of starts with videos on your own page. That's definitely like one tidbit, and where we're starting obviously with your stuff, as we're saying, in a deeper, more coherent and artistic way. But about halfway through, and kind of the point where we're starting to get close to now, it feels like with your stuff, is other people will naturally start using the sounds themselves. And so we don't even really have to, it's lucky, but it's kind of like luck that you have to create yourself, because you have to be so consistent with it that it just bleeds over into it working eventually. And so with Stuck in the Middle and Ty's, like it started on his page, and then it eventually like you can kind of start playing this game of now it's starting to do well on the sound, so like you can help cultivate that up as well with what you're doing on your own page. But I've never really seen. Don't spend your money on influencer campaigns. That's kind of one thing.
That shit is so crazy, bro. Don't fucking do that shit.
Don't do that.
That shit is so
That's
fucking
what you
crazy, bro. Oh my
that
god.
shit does not work. Everybody thinks that it
Oh my
works.
god.
Unless you're willing to dump $100,000 into something, which I don't think it's worth it at
Even
all.
then, like, just move on, bro. Like,
Yeah.
if you have to spend $100,000, just move on. The
Yeah.
song's not good enough, bro.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, like, my shit isn't either, but I'm just saying, if it's gonna catch, it's gonna catch.
Yeah.
And no amount of, like, I think dollars and stuff in that. And sorry to kind of, like, cut you off with
No,
that,
you're
but
good.
obviously I'm super fucking passionate about that. But that goes into, like, signing publishing and stuff like that, too. I think that it's huge and maybe getting away from it a little bit. But when there is already a fire, it's so much easier to throw fuel onto it. But you cannot just, like, make this combustion. That's up to the people. That is largely, I mean, that is entirely dependent upon what the people like.
Yeah.
And so many times you hear stories of, like, musicians and stuff, like, putting this song or this song out, and they're like, oh, this was the best shit I ever made, and it won't catch. And every time it seems it's the song that they made in 5 minutes. That fucking goes. So don't get too attached to shit. And sorry, that's my tangent on the influencer campaigns. But don't get too attached to shit, bro. Make it because you love making it, and then put it out. Whatever the fuck happens, suck it.
Yep.
Keep going
Well
with
said.
that. What you were
Well
saying,
said.
though, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Influencer campaigns, not worth it. Don't work. Start it on your own page. Do what you can there. Start to play that game only when it becomes necessary. Not the game of influencer stuff, but like the game of caring about. Like once your music starts being used 50, 100 times a day by other people, then you can start thinking about how do I get more people to like use this because people already are and it's proving it's working.
Right.
So that kind of happened naturally with Ty. With 347 Aiden, it was super interesting. He had a burner account that was 347.unreleased. And almost nobody knows this. I don't even know if many people outside of his own team or himself know this. Like, I don't think he's really talked about this, but he would just post, like, he would literally take a screen recording of stuff in his voice memos and just post it on this burner account. And one of those videos got like 400K views, and because of that, his song "Dancing in My Room" in like early 2021 maybe or late 2020, I can't remember. I think early 2021 started to catch, and it wasn't even anything on his own account, and it wasn't something that he did. He got like a little bit lucky. It started to like catch and snowball with just people using the audio itself, which was super interesting. I would say, okay, here's an interesting tidbit, just because I'm just like spilling on what I feel like people might want to know. Every million views with like a really good video will probably convert to a good song. Daily streams, probably like 15,000 daily streams. So like million views on your own video with a good strategy going back to it is about 15,000 daily streams. The only way that you can kind of have like small to big victories with getting multiple of millions of views on your own page, even if it doesn't catch as an audio itself. But a lot of the times that won't solidify itself. Something I'm still trying to figure out is like, when does it solidify itself in the Spotify algorithm? Because sometimes you'll see a song will get 150,000 streams in the first day, but it won't catch inside of Spotify.
Yeah. In terms of like on a much more technical aspect, and I don't have the like experience that you have on the larger scale in terms of like the trending sounds and whatnot, but from a much more like boots on the ground level, in terms of how you make the story, I think it's very important that people want to hear a story. People want to be involved in a story. And I think as short form content becomes more and more saturated with every single hour, I think it's very important that you are telling a story. I don't think very often you can get away with anymore just kind of setting up the phone singing the song. You need to give people a reason to be involved. You need to give people a reason to support the underdog. That's the hugest thing, is cultivating this idea of an underdog. And when you do that, when you have that, then you want to keep that going as long as possible. You want to be this man of the people. And again, this idea earlier that I was talking about of walking that line between, and again, not in an egoic sense, but walking the line between like person and God. And so if you can really find a way to tell your story in that middle ground, I think that's the only like surefire way that will inevitably result in success at some form. You know what I mean? If you're finding a way to represent yourself and tell your story. And if you don't have a story, maybe it's not the right place for you to be.
I think everybody's got a story though. Like everybody has a story to tell. It's just whether or not they're willing to figure out what it is and how to tell it. I honestly do believe that. But maybe not a lot of people have thought that way for years on end and like built their story in their own head, so they don't know how to share it at all.
Sure. Okay. Maybe that's more what I mean. If you don't have a story, I think everybody's lived a story, but I don't know if everybody has a story to tell.
Right. Because you've been like. I'll let him have his moment for a second.
That was so crazy. That was so crazy. All right. Sorry.
There is no such thing as overnight success that lasts very long in a lot of different ways. A lot of the stuff that is overnight success has been built on years and years and years of like preparing for that overnight success. And I think that that's why we're having such an easy time like now building Live 2 now that it's 4 years into it, and like every single day I've obsessed over it, and why it's so easy to like build your career right now is because you've obsessed over it for the last 4 years as well, 5 years, 6 years, whatever. And so off the back of that, there's a lot to tell.
Sure.
And like we're sitting in front of a goddamn shed that you're making all the music in that's painted with Storybook Life with Love Purdy on it. Like
Classic.
very clearly there's like an underdog story developing here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess if you're very early in your career, know that it's going to take some time to develop like nostalgic things from like the very beginning of what you're doing.
Absolutely. You have to be prepared for that.
Right.
You have to be prepared. I mean, the saying is 10,000 hours, and that's fucking absurd. That's absurd. But even then, some people aren't willing to give it fucking like 5 years. Like fuck 10,000 hours, but like, you know what I mean? Give it like, you're telling me I can't even do it for 5 years, like without getting paid, like without seeing a dollar? And like I wouldn't even say an analogy, but like the story I always find myself coming back to is just like, this is the craziest thing to ask from like the entire world. You know what I mean? To ask for fame and to ask to have a career that is fueled entirely by your art is the wildest ask from the world. It's just that nothing is set up that way within society. XYZ, yada, yada, yada. And so you have to be willing to like, it's going to be fucking hard, man. Yeah. It's going to be hard. And so I guess my point with that is when you know what your thing is, just to get back to the question a little bit, I think you'll know. I think it's very important that you learn to be in tune with your heart and with your gut. And when you know it's your thing, you'll know, and then you can move with it. But I think it's equally as important to know when something isn't your thing. And that when just because something does blow up, the only reason you would stick with that and drive it into the ground is if you were worried that you couldn't do it again. And so I think it's really important to know when to let things go, even when you do finally have something that starts to work, and to just be in that ebb and flow. It's so important to just be in the flow of the universe. And when you're not, you're literally fighting like the entire world as it stands. And like, that's not one man, much less fucking 20,000 men's like job, or ability, capability, I guess.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I like that one. I often think back through that one of, like not being afraid that you can't do it again. Like if you are afraid that you can't do it again, then you're going to move out of fear every time. And you always say like you got to move out of love and not fear. And in order to do that, you have to have such a solid foundation in who you are and why you're doing stuff that it would just be so out of character to move out of fear that it would feel wrong.
Right, exactly. Like, exactly. And I think people do like it does feel wrong innately. You know what I mean? But that like petty energy and not like directly the word petty, but petty being the umbrella of fear and of literal pettiness and of just fucking vulnerability and all of those things. You know what I mean? Like it does feel wrong to give into it, but it's such an all-encompassing thing that sometimes it kind of like shrouds the blue sky above the clouds and makes it appear as though like that's the only decision. You know what I mean? Especially when you start talking to people who are so-called experts like on it, and fucking 60-year-olds who like did it when Madonna was rocking. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. This doesn't only apply to the artist, too. This also applies on, like, the more business managerial side of things. Like, holding on too tightly to things. Like, you almost have to, like, earn your stripes if you're this, like, new manager, up-and-coming kind of figure. And a lot of the times, if you try and hold on too closely to something as it takes off, especially if it's, like, the first time you're in the deep end of the industry and everything, then you start to be seen as the villain that's like so afraid that they can't, like it's a really hard thing to be in the moment, knowing that's like the person that you started with in the beginning is going to be somebody huge and like well respected in what they're doing, but you're going to be on the outside looking in of it. But you almost have to be okay with that in order to like know that you can go back and do it again and again and again. It like that your brain was a part of like like as long as you know and can prove again and again and again that like what you like bring to the table is worth something and can build up with people, then you're good. You don't have to have other people's approval. You don't have to be at like the Grammys or whatever when your first artist who is there that you felt like you were there in the beginning is there. Like it's a very long-term kind of thing, and it's very similar for artists who have their first moment happening and like taking a deal and just being afraid that they can't do it again. It's definitely on both sides. So
That's why they let us play Foursquare and not you. Sorry, champ.
I don't know what that means, but yeah, probably.
Sorry,
and
champ.
that's I think the end of the podcast.
Is that like a bullying reference?
Yeah. Yeah.
People that got bullied got that one.
Okay. Okay. Very telltale here.
I wasn't the bully. I got bullied, all right? Don't fucking think of me weird.
All right, so how do we... So now we have to sit in the ice bath?
Yep, 1 minute
For the end of it?
You guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have a new rule.
Okay.
All right, so obviously each of you have to be in the ice bath.
Uh-huh.
So you'll be in the ice bath until you correctly answer 4 U.S. trivia questions.
No.
U.S. trivia question?
Yeah.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Fuck. Fuck.
I
Fuck,
wanted
dude.
to
I
go
lose
first.
every
Right?
fucking game of rock, paper, scissors.
'Cause-
Oh, dude, that's actually so cold, bro. That's actually so cold, dude. Fuck. Oh, dude. All right, what do you want? What do you want? Go, sit. I can't, dude. I can't. I can't. That's it, family.
All right.
You got me this tiny ass bucket, bro. I'm this big ass guy.
All right, who invented the telephone?
LeBron. I don't fucking know.
Where did the Olympic Games originate?
Harrison Ford in Beijing.
Who was the first American president?
Obama. Okay, I can
one's
do this.
easy.
Hold on, no, Alexander Graham Bell.
That's one.
What's the second question?
Olympic Games, where did they originate?
Tokyo.
No!
Russia.
Think the OG Olympics. Olympia.
Olympia. Greece.
Yes.
Yes,
Two questions.
yeah, Greece.
Who was the first U.S. president?
Not Obama. George Washington.
Yes. All right, that's 3. When was the Declaration of Independence signed?
1812.
Give me one of the names of Columbus's ships.
The Nina. Are you good?
How'd that feel?
Dude, cold, bro. My wiener's small.
Nothing new there. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Who invented the light bulb?
Thomas Edison.
That's 1.
I thought you had these ready.
Yeah, I know. I realized.
Okay, come on.
Okay.
Dude.
What color did the North wear?
The North?
Yeah. In the Civil War. In the Civil War.
Oh, gray.
Gray? No.
Blue. Navy
That's
blue.
2. That's 2.
Navy blue.
It was navy blue. Who was the president during World War I? Think about this.
World War I was 1914 to 1918.
Yep. You got the year. That
There
wasn't the
were
question.
fireside chats.
Yeah, with
Roosevelt? Teddy? No.
one more
fucking-
guess. W.
Woodrow Wilson?
Correct. That's 3. All right.
What?
Last one. Are you ready?
Yeah.
What money is used in Germany?
I have no idea.
Take a wild guess.
There's got to be some whack ass name. the Ikes.
The Ikes?
I don't know. EIKS.
Euro.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who knew?
What state seceded from Virginia?
What state seceded from Virginia? West Virginia.
Yes, correct. All right, that's 4. That's 4.
Oh my God.
I think that in the description there's going to be a place to put your questions for the next one. Just like a Laylo link, you got to put in your phone number and we'll text out what the topic is. And if you text back a question, then we'll be looking for those and pull it from that. I don't know. You got anything? That's all I got. Okay.